Good morning, second graders. My name is Mr. Mike. I am here to teach you guys some important facts and fundamentals that we can use in physical education. I hope you're all ready to learn today. Everyone give me a big thumbs up if you are having a great morning. All right, second graders, before we get to some learning today, I want everyone to stand up in their chairs, and we're gonna get a little active today before we do some learning, okay? So everyone, I want everyone to we're gonna do 10 jumping jacks. We're gonna count out loud. You ready? Set, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great job, guys. All right, you can sit back down and we're going to begin today's lesson. All right, class. For today, we're going to be learning about different movement concepts that deal with directions and how we can use those directions in different locomotor skills. If you don't know, a little brush up, locomotor skills are such as running, leaping, galloping, skipping, hopping, and jumping, and even walking. So basically any movement that we use, such as in a sport or playing with our friends or even at recess. Also, we're going to be learning a safety concept, which is crossing the street safely and properly. All right, for today we're going to start off class. We're going to learn a little safety tip, how to cross the street safely. We all know that crossing the street could be dangerous in certain situations. So raise your hand if you ever crossed the street before. Okay, I assume you would, maybe with your parents hopefully, or when you're at the crosswalk on your way to school, etc. So for today's learning activity, we're going to be learning skills and cues on how to and what to remember when we are trying to cross the street. So the first cue we want to always remember is we should always be with an adult or a responsible person that we trust that can safely get us across the street. Because as second graders, we really shouldn't be crossing the street unless we are directed with someone or have attention of someone who can get us across the street. The next cue is we should always look which way, left, right, and then left again. When we're doing this, we're making sure there's no cars coming or there's nothing in the road that's going to affect us when we are trying to safely cross the street. One last thing we always want to remember when we are crossing the street is that we want to make sure we are never at any times horsing around, like playing around when, say you're walking down the street and your friend's 10 feet ahead of you and they're ready to cross the street. You don't want to run up to them and then cross the street without looking, because horsing around could seriously injure you or someone that you were with. So now that we know the skills and cues which are telling us and knowing how to cross the street properly, we're going to practice it. So if everyone could stand up in their seats, we're going to do a couple scenarios and situations where we could be possibly crossing the street. So here's our first situation. You and your friend, you're going to get ice cream and you're not with an adult yet, okay? So say your friend is a little bit older and you trust them and you trust yourself since you know these skills to get across the street. What's the first thing we want to do when we're on the sidewalk and ready to cross the street? Okay, if you said look left to right and then left again to make sure there's no cars coming, then you did a great job. Okay, and then the last cue. What is one thing we want to know and make sure that we never do when we are crossing the street? Exactly, running around or horsing around with your friends. Great job. Okay, class, we're going to do one more situation before we move on to our physical component of today's lesson. So we are crossing the street at a crosswalk on our way to school, okay? And there's a cross guard who is there certified, and they're there to make sure you are safely crossing the street, okay? But sometimes you can't always trust that they're paying attention or not being able to focus on you because there's a lot of students trying to cross the street. So you just left school and you're ready to go across the street to get on the bus. And you get to the sidewalk and the crosswalk says come and that you're allowed to go, but they don't see the car that's coming. What do you do first? Exactly. Once again, you look to the left, the right, and then the left again. Great job. Okay, now that we know and we have practiced these situations and scenarios, I feel that you guys as students are ready and able to put these skills and cues into a real life situation. So before we end this learning part, we're going to talk and go over the examples and go over cues to see if you guys can name what we should do when we're. For the first one, what do we always do when we cross the street? Exactly. Left, right, left again. What should we do and who should we be with when we are crossing the street? Exactly. An adult or a responsible person who we feel that can get us across the street safely. And lastly, what is one thing we should never do when we are trying to cross the street? Exactly. No horsing around, no jumping, trying to beat someone across the street, because For learning, this is the safety tip that we need to be able to put into real life situations because we do not want to end up injured. Great job, second graders. All right, second graders. So now that we know how to safely cross the street and execute these skills and objectives that we have learned with safely crossing the street, we're going to move in a different direction, and we're going to learn about directions that deal with movement concepts. So like I stated before, right before we got into class, that we're going to be putting these direction movements into locomotor skills such as running, skipping, hopping, leaping, etc. Just different locomotor skills that we use on an everyday basis. All right, second graders, for this part of the physical literacy part that we're going to demonstrate in this class for today, we're going to talk about our movement directions. I want you guys to first be able to learning objectives that I want you guys to be able to do and understand by the end of this lesson. So for the movement directions, I want students to be able to demonstrate, identify, and apply the knowledge and skills that come in hand with learning movement directions. All right, let's get right into it. For our first movement direction concept, there are actually 6 movement concept of directions. The first one is basically the summary of the whole component as a whole. It is the exploration of movement. So this is basically just the understanding that we are able to and willing to for our body to move in different directions that deal with locomotor skills. So the first actual movement that we're going to demonstrate and understand is forward. So this is basically what me and you, we are facing right now, a forward direction. This could be sitting down, so walking forward, anything that is in a forward direction is that concept. The next one is backwards. The backwards direction is the vice versa, the opposite of what forward is. When we go backwards, we can either walk backwards, we can look backwards. It's just understanding that we can do things and do multiple things when we're looking or doing things in a backward movement. The next movement direction is side to side movement. So this is understanding that we can go left, we can go right. There are different characteristics and people that do side to side movements, such as a hockey player when they go left to right, or an ice skater when they're ice skating on a different movement. There are 2 movement directions left. The next one is my favorite, up and down. When you're up and down, you're jumping up and down, you can squat up and down. There's just so many different movements that we're able to identify and demonstrate the up and down movement. The last one is clockwise. When I think of clockwise, I think of a clock that tells time. So clockwise could be in a full circle, it could be left to right. There are many ways that we can understand and demonstrate this clockwise movement. All right, second graders, so as we break down each one, I want to give you a brief understanding of how we can use these through locomotor skills. So the first one, forward, the most straight up one where we can use in basically any context, honestly. So forward, walking, forward. All right, let's practice each locomotor skill. Ready? Forward walking. You walk forward. Everyone stand up. Let's start walking. See, you want to face forward all the time because that's just what the movement direction calls for. You can run forward, jog in place. Let's go. Let's go for 10 seconds. Come on, we got to get that heart rate up. Let's go. Okay, so now we're going to skip forward. Just skip in place. Just get those high knees up. Okay, so there we go. We're getting up, we're getting active. We went over the forward concept. Great job, guys. All right, guys, we're doing a great job. So what I just demonstrated was the forward movement with dealing with locomotor skills. Now I don't need to go over every single movement concept, that direction concept that we deal with, because we can apply those same locomotor skills to each one, up and down, side to side, clockwise, etc. We can do all of these locomotor skills in that form of direction. So what I want to move to now is a fun and exciting game, which you guys are going to point to me and guess which movement direction I'm contemplating doing. Okay, so if I'm walking forward, then you can assume I'm doing the forward direction. Okay, so we're gonna get started, and I'm gonna do a locomotor skill, so it will be easy for you guys to depict which movement direction I am doing. Okay, all right, let's go. Ready, set, go. All right, who wants to guess which direction I was going in? Forward? No. Yes, exactly, side to side. Great job, guys. Let's do a couple more. All right, ready? All right, what about that one? Backwards? Nope. What about clockwise? Nope, I heard it. Who said exactly? Up and down. Great job, everyone. All right, just as we're going along, I want everyone to remember that we have clear objectives that we as teachers want you to learn by the end of this lesson. So let's go over them. The learning objectives for our physical demonstrations that deal with movement direction. So first, I want you guys to be able to identify elements involved in directions of movement. So that means being able to understand and know what we want you to do and learn from learning these movement directions. Next, I want everyone to be able to demonstrate these movement patterns. So to be able to get up from your seat, you know, not even inside your houses, maybe when you're outside with your friends or with your family, you might be able to want to get up and demonstrate these for them. Say, hey mom, I know how to go left to right, side to side. Last one, apply these skills. Applying them is the most important. If you learn them now, you'll be able to apply them in if you're playing a sport, if you're outside, if you're in your house, even anything that applies this knowledge to further learning. Great job, guys. All right, second graders, we're doing such a great job. We just let's see, what did we do today so far about movement direction concepts? So first, we identified each understanding of what movement concept directions are and how they pertain to different locomotor skills as well as different objects. Second, we were able to get up and demonstrate each movement concept direction. And then third, we put them together and watched them as we basically assessed ourselves and quizzed ourselves on which ones pertain to each video. For this last portion of the learning activity, I want everyone to stand up and we are going to do a rapid race of each movement that pertains to locomotor skills. So you're going to watch me and I'm going to demonstrate them, and then we're going to do them together, and then we're going to identify which locomotor component that deals to each direction. So let's get ready. All right, ready, set, go. We're going to run in place. All right, what direction am I going in? Great job, forward direction. Okay, so the next movement we're going to go over is, you gotta watch what I'm doing. Where am I doing? Exactly, moving backwards in a backwards direction. The next one, and side to side. Great job, guys. We only have a couple left. The last two, let's see. We're standing straight and we go to the right, all the way around, and then you get into your center, which we were facing forward, back around to the left. That is a clockwise direction. Okay, great job. The last one we have is, let's practice it. Jumping up and down, up and down. Great job, guys. I hope you guys had such a great time in this learning activity. Now let's move on. All right, before we get into our final learning activity, I want to do a little check for understanding with all of you to see if we are gaining knowledge through this lesson plan today. Okay, so first, we have a picture of a cheetah. Can anyone guess what the cheetah is demonstrating? Anyone say the forward movement? Because if you did, great job. Okay, let's move on to the second picture. This is a picture of a figure skater. So this could be a figure skater, an ice skater going in a side to side movement. Next, we have a swimmer in a pool facing backwards. That's the backward direction. Great job. The last two is clockwise. The clockwise definition is in the direction to the typical forward movement of the hands of a clock. So this can apply clockwise or even counterclockwise. And the last picture we have for you is my favorite, a picture of a kangaroo jumping up and down. All of these directions can apply to different objects such as a clock, different people such as athletes, or even animals. Everything that consists with movement of objects or people deal with directions. Great job, guys. All right, guys, now that we have completed our learning for today, before we close and assess how today's lesson went, I want everyone to stand up and be ready. We're going to be active right now. So I want everyone, we're going to do 10 air squats, okay? So an air squat is you just hands out. We're going to go down and up. We're going to do that 10 times, okay? We're going to get our heart rate up before we're done for the day, okay? You ready? We're going to count out loud. Ready, set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Great job, guys. So, who wants to guess what kind of movement that consists of? Exactly, up and down. Great job, second graders. You did such a great job today. All right, second graders, we are finished and complete with the physical activity component of today's lesson. So if you want to, you can sit back down in your seats. If not, you can stand as I am right now. So we are completed, and I hope everyone had such a great time, and I had a blast learning with you about different movement concepts and directions, as well as learning a safety tip such as crossing the street safely. So for now, for the rest of the class, we're going to debrief and close and come to a check for understanding of how today's class went. So raise your hand if you had fun today in today's both safety learning activity as well as the direction movement concepts activity. You did? Great, I'm glad. Okay, so a couple questions for you guys, little trick questions to see how good you guys were paying attention for today's activity. So who can name one component of crossing the street? If you said either crossing the street contains looking left, right, and then left again, great job. If you said that when you're crossing the street, you should be with a parent or a responsible person who you trust to get you across that street safely, or if you said that when you are crossing the street, you should make sure you're not horsing around or running or jumping, that crossing the street is an extremely important factor of safety. Okay, so let's get into our movement direction concepts. A couple questions to see if you guys were paying attention. So first question, what is one component of forward movement? Exactly, just how it says, how we are facing each other, we are in a forward movement right now. Okay, a couple more questions. Let's see, side to side. Who can label something to the side to side movement? Either a sports player or an animal that goes to a side to side movement, side to side. If anyone said a hockey player, an ice skater, an animal when they are running, you did such a great job. Okay, one more movement concept direction we're going to go over. How about up and down? Exactly. I bet a lot of you said kangaroo because that's what I tied to that a lot. Kangaroos go up and down. You know, even we go up and down as people when we're playing sports or we're playing with our friends or even when we're at our houses. We go up and down all the time. You go up and down the stairs to go to your bedrooms. Exactly. Okay, guys, you did such a great job today. I'm glad I was here to be able to teach you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and it was great learning with you guys today. Have a great night.